Episode 115. The Keeper of the Lake looms over in the foggy distance dramatically. It wasn't so foggy, not 1 minute before I started recording, and it would have been the perfect thumbnail. But unfortunately, this is what I'm strapped with. Maybe by the time I get out of the dungeon the weather will be better, but it probably won't be daytime or some other thing. I can only hope that inside the dungeon, well, there probably is something better to use as a thumbnail. Probably the boss, as I usually do. But I would have liked to make this the thumbnail, under better weather conditions. Oh well. The wait time, estimated, around 17 minutes apparently. That's worse than usual. And I thought it would be a pretty good time of day to actually enter the duty queue. We still have the option of going in with a party of NPCs. Looks like the Scion, Marauder, Conjurer, and Thaumaturge haven't really changed their appearance since the last time I checked. But I think this would be, probably, the last time, wouldn't it? This is the last dungeon before Heaven's Ward, isn't it? So this would be the last time you see this party of NPCs that kind of stuck with you. Well, could have stuck with you throughout the entirety of A Realm Reborn if you only played with NPCs in the dungeons. As a brief recap, this party, and depending on your class, if you're maybe a Conjurer or Marauder, some other DPS, which isn't pictured here, would have joined you from the very first dungeon, not as a Scion, but as just some random adventurers, obviously at lower levels with less impressive gear. Less story gear, you could say. And those same NPCs, nameless as they are, would have been consistent throughout all the dungeons if you played with them. Sure, you wouldn't know their names, they wouldn't remember you, but they would have 1 or 2 voice lines as you go through the dungeon, commenting on this and that, I suppose. There's another reality where I would have liked to gone through my second playthrough on Komori, adventuring with these people. But I guess for an MMO, it makes more sense to just play with people, even if I've already done that on my main character. I don't really regret it, but I guess I will kind of miss seeing those guys around, even if it's just their portraits. From here on out in Heaven's Ward, any dungeons will be, well, we'll see, but it won't be them. I guess they'll be off doing who knows what. They are Scions, apparently, in the lore. So they'll be, maybe, hanging around the Rising Stones, when we're not there, like passing ships in the night. We'll wait for our backup to arrive, then resume back in the dungeon. The Keeper of the Lake. I think this is one of the cooler dungeons that I don't often get the chance to play. I changed the UI just a little bit. For one thing, changed the log window so that it doesn't display the world next to people's names, though I'm still kind of struggling with that. It seems like over in the overworld it still shows it when people emote, as it can be seen at the top of the chat window. But at the bottom of the chat window it nicely hides them. Other thing I changed was adding on the class icons next to players, which should be helpful when, well, deciding certain things that relate to the party members, mainly as a black mage who I want to teleport towards. And I guess there are other uses. There are also the options to change the colors of the names, depending on the class, like blue for tank or red for DPS. But I think I'll keep it as it is and just see if I can make do with the icons. I've already made do for several years without the icons, just using the party list in the top left, and just recognizing which player looks like a tank and whatnot. Oh. The icons aren't totally noticeable from a distance. The colors don't super stand out. And actually, for the most part, you only really see the gold borders around. I guess if I really wanted the colors, I should go for changing the color of the names. Are we supposed to go here? Or this way, I see. I thought it might blow away those one-sided hit, but no. They activate in sequence. Oh, someone's dead. Oh, they already did a res on him. I didn't need to. That's gonna be a raid ward, or whatever, party ward? I guess not. Screech made me think it would be. Einhander? One-hander? Is that what that means? Does it only have one leg? I think so. Can't get a good look with all the effects, but yes, that is one leg. What hit me? I wasn't paying attention. Too busy looking up its skirt. Gonna need these for the company seals. Speaking of looking up the skirt, what exactly is Ceruleana wearing? Because it looks like nothing at all. Again, hard to get a good look with all the effects going on. I think she chose some kind of underwear and top that's the same color as her skin. So it kind of looks like a reverse bunny suit, which I kind of like. When she's in motion, it almost is uncanny. That's what exactly it looks like. Pretty good. On my main character, I tried to go for a reverse bunny look on my Dragoon. Couldn't quite get it to work though. Maybe I should take notes. So this is the inside of the Agrius, the airship. I guess it's pretty much empty, as you might expect a big blimp to be. Guess we have to destroy those field inductors first to get all the mobs out, to be more efficient. That's what the tank is doing. Maybe I should have moved. I wanted to greet it. You got it down to a science. I can't stop looking. It's a good grammar. And our next boss is a gunship. How fun. For some reason, I feel like I had trouble with this boss back on my main character or something. Just a feeling. Just gotta stay out of the way of its flight path, I guess. Maybe I don't need these icons after all. They might just be getting in the way. I'm all for reducing the visual clutter in this game, but... is this really obtrusive? I'll have to think about it. I must have been wrong. I don't think I had trouble with this on my main character. Or if I did, I must have been doing something wrong. I doubt they changed the boss or anything. And here comes a kind of cool part that I remember from my main character. We've seen this several times from the outside, how Midgard Solmer's corpse is wrapped around the airship. And this is the part of the dungeon where you actually go outside and wander around on top of it. We were fighting Guardians, but it seems like we're now fighting dragons. They must have answered the call we heard about. Or something.
Who treadeth now upon my bones, and waketh me from slumber sweet? Thou hast forgotten the face of thy Lord. Remember, mortal, and fear me.
Well, unfortunately, they started the boss without me. I don't remember how this one works, so it's a shame that I kind of missed out on it. Anima diversion. That's gonna be a big one, huh? I should have addled. No, Alchemorn keeps going, buddy. You fool. He's new at this, I guess. Disgust? What are you so disgusted with? It's not me. Well, I guess I didn't miss out on too much of the boss. Whatever it started with, I'm pretty sure we've maybe seen it cycle too. I was afraid this might be a situation where I have to come back and fight the boss again. Like I did for that one dungeon, where everyone else started too quickly. This is fine. Guess I can add a lot. Why not? Or the tank. No, wait, I shouldn't do the tank any favors, they started without me. I don't really hold a grudge against that sort of thing though, it happens. Nope, it's an in this time. We actually got to see this part. I always thought that boss was cool. Instead of fighting the actual Midgard Stormer, who would be way too hard to fight in an actual fight, maybe like me needing an 8-man or a 24-man or something, you just fight its ghost. It was a 4-man in form of a dungeon. Pretty cool. I'm waiting for that loot. I need the company seals. I'm not leaving without it. I got the high rule. What if I do one of these? Before we leave, though. No, that's probably not going to be the thumbnail. I don't like the pink sky that much. I was afraid of this. I vaguely remembered the pink sky. And while I could get a shot of the boss, I think I'd still prefer to be the outside. It's currently 4:37 AM in Eorzea. Maybe by the time we're done with cutscenes, it'll be daytime.
By her gifts hast thou earned a moment's reprieve. Speak, mortal, and I shall listen.
This is a pretty good contender too.
Guided by a star. My people have heard the song. Ishgard shall burn. Sons must answer for their father's misdeeds. We do not forget. We do not forgive. Seven children did I sire. One now singeth of retribution. I rise to join in the chorus. Thou art powerless to silence us, mortal. Yet thou shalt not live to labor in vain. Thy reprieve is at an end. Trickery is thy shield. This frail, ignoble creature is not gifted, but chosen. Hearken to me, Hydaelyn. I remember, and I consent. Fear not, mortal. I shall not harm thee. Mayhap thou thinkest me an oath breaker. Thou art mistaken. If thou comest to harm, it shall be by another's hand, not mine. I did but strip thee of thy mistress's feeble blessing. Thou didst profit much by her grace, but no more. The covenant binds me to thee. I shall watch, listen, and wait. Fight and struggle, if it be thy will. Man hath ever coveted that which lieth beyond his grasp. I drink of her body, and thence doth mine own find new life. When it hath grown whole, the loyal and penitent shall rejoice. The dragon song heraldeth a beginning and an end.
We can summon him now. Kind of weird, right? He just gives you a minion after all that. Dragons. Father of dragons, keeper of the lake, bane of the 14th Legion. While it is difficult to believe the long pup could be any of these things, he assures you his current form is only temporary, while he awaits the reconstruction of a new corporeal vessel. Did he say that? I guess that's what he was saying. Kind of. Great. He's watching over our shoulder now. Oh, right. I was beginning to fear the worst. Were those explosions I saw? Ah, but you shouldn't waste time talking with me. Alfino left a message stating that you were to return to the Rising Stones at once. Alright. Anything else? He sounded awfully worried about you. Mayhap you should hurry back to Revenant's Toll. That plot point about the crystals and everything, what Midgard Stormer just did, in retrospect is something that I always had trouble understanding the plot significance on my main character. I'm going to try to do a better job of keeping track of it right now, but in the first place I never really understood what those crystals were for in A Realm Reborn. Not really. Supposedly, I guess they're for Heidelin's connection blessing to you, beyond the basic echo, and I suppose we used it to form the Blade of Light with which we struck down... who was it? Why am I forgetting his name? The big bad, La Habrea. La Habrea the first time, even though he came back. And now while we're trying to figure out how to form that Blade of Light again, it seems like we lost our connection to Heidelin or something. Or those crystals. I may have that wrong, that Blade of Light may not have been directly from those crystals, but they were part of our connection to Hydaelyn, according to Midgard Stormer. What a bastard, this guy. I guess there were times where we were kind of bailed out by Hydaelyn, especially during the Praetorium sequence of events. Komori called down a meteor, and down onto the Ultima weapon. That was all Hydaelyn, but I guess we don't have that boon anymore, or whatever. Still, thinking about it right now, with my own knowledge of future events, I can't really understand what Midgard Stormer's beef with Hydaelyn was, why he did all that, what his goal is, and in fact his whole history with Hydaelyn. I'm probably going to look it up after this episode, but just from replaying the game right now, I don't feel like I understand entirely. Lucia. Have you spoken with the Commander Levier yet? He has been pacing again. Help save me. Is it coming? What should we do? Oh, he's not? Same dialogue. Same dialogue. Same here. And here, I think. Yes. As well as this. And this. Moonbreeder. I'm pushing ahead with my research as quickly as I dare. The next time you face an Ascian, I would have you fight with a proper weapon in hand. That was actually the same dialogue, I didn't realize. And same dialogue here. Okay. Always have to check. Truth interpreted is truth transformed. Today's heroes may yet become tomorrow's gods, or something else. Welcome home, Komori. Alfinode was worried sick about you. Why don't you go and set his mind at ease? I'm right here, Alfinode. Like a stone wall, this guy. Praise the 12, you are hale and whole. I came as soon as Minfilia informed me of Sir Americ's request. You have completed your investigation of the Keeper of the Lake, I take it? Then I would hear your report. You conversed with Midgard Stormer? I swear, were anyone else to make such a claim, I would regard it with considerable skepticism. Are we to understand that the Worm Lord did not perish, and has in sooth lain dormant these past 15 years? Thus a resurrection, and more a rejuvenation, for he who dwelleth in eternity, years passing as moments. Although his words were ambiguous at times, one statement left little room for interpretation. My people have heard the song, Ishgard shall burn. Clearly an attack is imminent. We must share this information with Sir Americ immediately. However, we dare not divulge your conversation with Midgard Stormer in its entirety. To even acknowledge that you heard the voice of a Dravanian is a grave but necessary risk. Lest we forget, men have been executed as heretics for declaring as much. For your own protection, and for the sake of our tenuous relations with Ishgard, the truth cannot leave this room. As for how we shall present our revelation to Sir Americ's emissary, you may leave that to me. Pray remain here for now. Leave it to Elfino to do the talking. Is there something you are not telling us, Komoi? You seem different somehow. It is almost as if you are missing something. Something important. "12 forfend. Midgard Sormer stripped you of the blessing of light. Are you all right? How do you feel?" "I see. It is a relief to hear that you are otherwise unharmed. It beggars belief that any being could possess the power to deprive you of her blessing." Midgard Sormer made mention of a covenant, did he not? One of the ancient myths regarding Silvertear Falls states that when the waters came into existence, so too did the Great Worm. Altic and Nemea, brother Time and sister Fate, decreed that Midgard Sormer ever watch over the source, from which all water and magic was said to flow. I wonder, what if this was the covenant of which he spoke? It was not the gods with whom he treated, but Heidelin herself. Thinking about that, just a moment. If it wasn't the gods and Heidelin herself, then I guess he was asked to watch over the source of magic, not necessarily the lake itself, but just the source of magic, ether, in general. That makes it sound like they're friends, but he was certainly acting aggressive towards us if he removed our blessing. Well, if he is watching over you as he claimed, mayhap you will have an opportunity to ask. Let us keep this matter to ourselves. I do not wish to burden our friends needlessly. Ask him, right now. Art thou a pawn, or master of thy fate? What hast thou wrought by thine own hands, mortal? Damn, we missed our chance to ask him.
My friend, I can scarce believe it. You confronted the Wormlord and lived to tell the tale. I give thanks to Helone for your preservation. It is our sole cause for gladness. Your encounter with the Keeper of the Lake served to confirm our fears. A great worm has roared, and it makes little difference if it was one of the two in Eorzea or any other. The Dravanians are coming.
I am told that Ishgard has magical defenses against Dravanian attack, though I am not privy to their exact nature. Will they be enough to repel a massive force?
Ishgard has weathered countless assaults over centuries. This will be no different. And now that you have confirmed the threat, none can ignore the Lord Commander's calls for the wards to be strengthened. I dare not presume to speak for him, but I expect the Lord Commander would sing your praises. I must away, but we shall meet again soon.
Countless assaults weathered, and this will be no different? Why am I not convinced?
Midgard Sormer made mention of 7 children he sired. Lucia mentioned just now that there was 1 or 2 in Eorzea, meaning 5 others aren't in Eorzea. It's not really much of a spoiler, but we learn about quite a few of those children throughout the course of the game, and it's actually quite surprising how consistent they are with that lore, I guess. I mean, things change, the writing style changes, but they don't go back and say, oh, Midgardsormr actually had 5 children, or actually had 9, or anything like that. My point being that it's surprising how much of a role each children plays throughout the entire course of the game, or each child plays. And we haven't even met one yet, only the father. I'm going to be keeping track of, I guess, as we meet them, one by one. No movement. Same dialogue. Thank you, Komori, thank you. I shall sleep soundly, knowing that that worm will trouble us no longer. Oh, was that what she was worried about? I think I misread it and thought she was worried about some kind of visitor. The Ishgardians have warred with the Dravanians for centuries, nay, nearly 1,000 years. In all that time, not once have their enemies breached their defenses and entered the city proper. Yet regardless of how strong these magical wards may be, I nevertheless fear that the Ishgardians are underestimating the gravity of the situation. Though it was not Midgardsormr who roared, a call to arms by one of the first brood cannot be ignored. Until such time as they choose to request our aid, however, we can do naught but observe the situation at a distance, and pray that our fears are unfounded. Ere I forget, I believe Moonbreeder has requested a gathering of the Scions. I assume there has been some progress concerning our efforts to combat the Ascians. Pray inform her that our business with the Ishgardians is concluded, for the moment. I shall be along once I've completed my communications with the Crystal Rays. Would you be so kind as to inform Moonbreeder that our Ishgardian visitor has departed? I must speak with the Crystal Braves. Then I shall join you all forthwith. All done with your talk of dragons? Wonderful. Because Ascians are next on the menu. Let's head into the solar, shall we? Just checking. Can't actually remember, but that's surprising. He did actually have a dialogue change for this very brief window after you talk to Moonbreeder and before you enter the solar. I'm glad I actually checked. Of course, there's no real depth here, but it is flavor. Of all our adversaries, the Ascians could well be considered the most dangerous. I do hope Moonbreeder's research has borne fruit. We're all over the place. Dragons, primals, Ascians, domins, monitorists. I think capitalism is our greatest enemy. I've summoned everyone to the solar. It would seem Moonbreeder has something exciting to share with us.
Now that everything's calmed down a bit, relatively speaking I mean, I thought it might be a good time to share our progress on the weapon. I believe we're on the verge of a breakthrough.
Well, don't keep us all in suspense.
Just in case anyone's forgotten, let's start by reviewing what we already know. So, an Ascian is an immortal because its soul doesn't return to the ethereal realm when its host is defeated. Instead, it flees to the place that lies between our world and the void. Therefore, the first step to permanently defeating an Ascian is preventing its soul from making this journey, And if you recall, when we last gathered here, I had verified that white auracite has adequate capacity to entrap the beings, albeit only briefly.
This is only offhand, that previous line. An Ascian is an immortal because its soul doesn't return to the ethereal realm when its host is defeated. Instead, it flees to the place that lies between our world and the void. I'm not sure if that's a translation thing, or if they're actually implying at this point that they're trying to make the ethereal realm synonymous with the void. But I think that's maybe just a usage of the word void that's maybe a little bit confusing. We don't mean the void as in where the void scent comes from. She's referring to the ethereal realm specifically, ethereal sea, which was previously on the right side of the screen. Void is a different place, and I don't think they're trying to imply that we don't know that yet. Pretty sure everyone knows that in this room. They're all smarter than me.
Which left the small matter of their extermination.
Aye. To unmake an Ascian soul, one must needs smite it with a concentrated burst, or blade, of purest ether. However, we wanted for both the data and the means to forge such a weapon.
Short of experimenting on an actual Ascian, you see, there's no way to gauge how much ether its soul is made of. As such, we don't know what etheric density our blade needs to have in order for it to work.
So we'll just have to make the densest blade we can and hope for the best. Though that would require a lot of ether. Hang on a minute. Why didn't we think of this before? White auracite can hold an absolute heap of ether, can't it?
Please tell me you're joking. God's sakes, Ida. I feel as though I'm reliving the same scene over and over with you. How many times do you need to be told that white auracite cannot store ether for long periods? Being intangible matter, ether is given to dispersion. Only in its crystallized form is it a stable source of energy. I will test you later on this, so see to it you do not forget.
Right, yes. It's all coming back to me.
So our hopes rest on good old crystals again, do they? While they are certainly reliable, they leave something to be desired in the area of portability.
Indeed. I am reminded of the quantity of corrupted crystals required to thwart Leviathan, and the extraordinary lengths to which the Lamentsons went to transport them. What if it should prove that a similar quantity was needed to destroy an Ascian soul? Or still more?
That's the war leader right there. The war leader is not the primal. The war leader is the ship. My mistake in naming the episode. Doesn't matter.
I do not envy the poor sod who has to lug all of that around on the off chance that an Ascian appears.
That's the very problem we set out to solve, and I reckon we've found the answer. If it isn't practical to lug around the ether we need, we'll just have to draw upon another source. And the only viable source is the land.
If you mean to tap the Great River of Ether, know that it will entail considerable risk. Meddling with the currents may well induce a surge like to the one which despoiled Mordona.
Give me a bit more credit, will you? Why would we need to tap the river when there are veritable reservoirs jutting out all over the land? I speak of corrupted crystals. It might be that their aspect is out of balance, but a crystal's a crystal. It contains ether, and we can help ourselves to it.
While corrupted crystals are indeed abundant, there is no guarantee that they will be in close proximity at a crucial moment.
But what if we don't need them to be? What if we could tap their power from afar? A malm away, say? If we could do that, we'd have ready access to ether aplenty in almost every corner of Eorzea. I've yet to put my theories to the proof, but I've got a good feeling about this. If no one has any objections, I'd like to see where this avenue leads.
If you think it's worth your while, you have my blessing. But tell us, what are your theories? I, for one, am most eager to understand the process, however vaguely.
I thought you might say that, but no one wants to listen to boring old theories all day, do they? I know I don't. So with your permission, I'd like to try something a bit more hands-on. I've already built an etheric siphon especially for this purpose, and I've been meaning to try it out. Thing is, the profusion of corrupted crystals in Mordona makes it something of a high-risk testing ground. If anything goes awry with the siphon, it would be better if it didn't happen within spitting distance of quite so much ether. Ideally, I need an isolated specimen. Does anyone know where I can find one?
May I suggest northern Thanalan? There you will find corrupted crystals of middling size, standing a reasonable distance apart. Ideal for your needs, I should have thought. Oh, and if you do elect to visit the place, I should be much obliged if you would assist me in another matter while you are in the area.
Has something happened?
Movement has been observed at Castrum Meridianum. During Operation Archon, the Alliance dealt the stronghold a heavy blow. Its facilities were extensively damaged, and its garrison reduced to a fraction of its former strength. Not long after our forces withdrew, however, their ranks were replenished by reinforcements from Castrum's sentry. They now seek to rebuild, and to this end they have their sights set upon the ceruleum processing plant. Having lost the Empire's support, the 14th Legion lacks the resources to sustain itself. To them, this is a bid for survival, and they will doubtless fight like desperate men. Though I have dispatched the Crystal Braves, I fear their strength alone may not suffice to stay the Imperial assault. I would request the Scion's aid in the defensive effort.
If I didn't know better, I'd say you were trying to inveigle us into fighting your battle with the promise of shiny crystals. Well then, consider me inveigled. I won't lie, the crystals you speak of sound perfect, so the Garleans have to go. Besides, we can't afford to beat about the bush. There's no telling when the Arsians will next appear.
Thine eagerness to hurl thyself into the jaws of danger cometh as little surprise. Exercise due caution, I prithee.
Though you have become a Crystal Brave, you are yet a Scion, Alphino. We could hardly refuse you. Pray, join the Crystal Braves and lend them your support. Thangrid and Papalimo shall accompany you. Ida and Yashtola, in the meantime I would have you assist Moonbreeder. Scout out the crystal clusters, that the testing may commence as soon as the Garlean threat has been eliminated.
If it please you, I shall continue mine own experiments on white aurosite.
Thank you, Arianger. Everyone, pray see to your preparations and depart as soon as you are able. Go well, and be safe.
A lot to digest there, but I guess one of the things to take away was we didn't form the Blade of Light or whatever with those 6 crystals we got from Hydaelyn. At least, I'm pretty sure it would have come up in conversation if we did. Maybe Minfilia would have been a little bit more worried if we were talking about forming the blade and thinking that was a key component, and she knew that we didn't have that connection anymore. Since it didn't come up from her or our own character, then I guess it doesn't matter as part of that whole plot point. In which case, what do the crystals do then? I guess they're mainly just extra help from Hydaelyn, like I mentioned. The limit break 3 that you get during the Castrum, and the other time she helped you fight the Ultima weapon. I don't think that's exactly it. I'll have to figure it out sometime. Though I have little doubt you will prevail against the Empire's forces, I shall pray for your success nonetheless. Our very future may depend upon Moonbreeder being free to pursue her experiments. And we have movement. Time to do the rounds one more time. We do seem to be running low on provisions. I believe an excursion to the marketplace is in order. For a small organization, we certainly chew through a prodigious amount of foodstuffs. Perhaps I should put a lock on the larder door. I see that the scions are once more ready themselves for the road. I too must make preparations for an absence from the Rising Stones. Oh, she's leaving, huh? Ori was most eager to join you on the front lines of battle, but as fate would have it, the antecedent had other plans for our talents. And those are? It seems you have barely arrived before you must once more plunge into the fray. Duty is an unforgiving mistress, eh? Though the tasks we tackle are not like to be as realm-shaking, Coltonet and I must also heed her call. Well, I guess we won't get to know. No one else. They all moved out. It would seem that events have once more conspired to rob us of rest and recuperation. Though I would wish it otherwise, I must ask that you head straight away to the processing plant. The force have already deployed to the area, and await the arrival of the scions. Willard will brief you on the developing situation. Meanwhile, I must rendezvous with Captain Ilbert at our headquarters in Ul'dah. I shall take command of our forces there with a lighter heart, knowing that you go to support the front lines. Off he goes. Your duties take you to Northern Thanalan, do they not? We too must say our farewells to the Rising Stones for a time. Philomene travels to Ul'dah, and we shall serve as her escort. At my daughter's behest, I shall go to contact certain old acquaintances in the Gilded City. We are beset on all sides by civil unrest and imperial machinations. Threatened by primals and troubled by dragons, we need all the allies we can muster. Many of my friends hold positions of power, you see, and it is my hope that they can be convinced to aid the Scion's cause. If past events have taught us anything, then we know that Eorzea must present a united front, or we shall fall. Ah, how extraordinary that my little Acilia is involved in such far-reaching affairs. I am proud that I might now stand at her side, not only as a mother, but also as a colleague. A colleague with influential connections, but I fear that Ul'dah has become a place of danger, even for one so familiar with her streets. Ah, woe betide the blackguard that so much as glares in your direction, milady. I shall be well protected, it seems. Shall we be on our way, then? And the place is empty, except for Tatara and Tagiri. Almost lonely now. We'll join up with our friends next time. Before we head into the fray, now would be a good time to take a break.